Good morning. Happy Thursday. January 7th is here. So it's this day in history in 1927. The Harlem Globetrotters were actually organized and formed, and they ended up transforming the basketball game, or the whole arena for basketball forever. So they were originally called the Savvy Big Five. And then in 1940, they really showed their worth by winning the World Professional Basketball Tournaments. And then in 1948, the NBA was formed. So I think we can definitely thank them for showing us how basketball should be played and really transforming the whole game, because I definitely enjoy a good basketball game, and it's a huge staple in American culture. So this day in history, January 7th, 1927. So it's also Bobblehead Day. And did you know bobbleheads, the little toys that bobble, they're actually a lot older than I thought. I thought they came with like commercialization, but they were only like redone with commercialization. They were actually originally temple knotters in the 1700s. So it came up in Asia, and they had them in temples with like Buddha figures or other religious figures, and they were like knotters, temple knotters. And then in the 1920s, they came out and became figureheads for sports. So I'm sure the Harlem Globetrotters were also bobbleheads. And then in the 1960s, musicians ended up becoming bobbleheads. The Beatles, notably, were bobbleheads. And then now you can find a bobblehead of anybody and everybody who is famous enough to be known and commercialized. So where would you put bobbleheads? I think most notably, I love it when people put it in their cars, although I wouldn't want it in my car. I don't like it cluttered. I like it like simple, minimal. But when people do have it in their car, I've seen people have the hula dancer bobblehead, where she also has the waist that does the hula dance. And those are really cool, because as you're driving, she picks it up and she's like constantly dancing while you're driving and bobbing the head. So yeah, bobbleheads are fun. I don't actually own one. My son owned an Ant-Man one. See, you can do a bobblehead of everybody. It's also Old Rock Day, and not the music, but actual rocks. So we can appreciate some of the world's oldest rocks. There's like rocks on the planet that were formed billions with a B, billions of years ago. And I used to love the idea of being an archaeologist and like going out to the field and digging them up and figuring out like what the climate was from that era, and you pretty much are like an investigator and figuring out how that rock was formed and how the layers were created. And it's actually really fascinating and fun, and I love those like the shows where they're like the documentaries that show the archaeologists doing it. But yeah, I'm doing civil engineering instead of geology, archaeology. So, but they're fun. Lots of fun investigating, but it's kind of hard to appreciate it here in Florida, because the only kind of rock that we have are either imported or it's sandstone, and sandstone crumbles. It breaks apart when you pick it up. So it's really sad. We can't like just dig and find a rock like you can up north, where it's weird. In New England, I found that they actually grow up out of the ground. They get pushed. So all of a sudden you'll have like just grass, and then all of a sudden a rock will start emerging from the ground because of how the ground forms, or it condenses, and then like when it freezes, it all like gets bigger, and then it shrinks when it gets smaller, and it moves things around, and the rocks just like pop out of the ground. It's really interesting. Anyways, it is, as far as food goes, tempura day. Tempura is a Japanese dish. It's pretty much just fried food. fried vegetables, fried fish. They fry anything and they call it tempura. And they actually got tempura from the Portuguese in the 1600s. So you can thank the Portuguese for tempura, because that's where they got the idea of making the batter and then frying up the food in the batter. So tempura. I'm not a huge fan of fried food, but I do have a special liking for how light the batter is that tempura is. They use it very light. They add a little bit of I think it's club soda or salsa water or something to make the batter lighter. I don't really like the thick batter. So it's definitely a more preferred version of fried food. The Japanese way of doing it. It's tempura. And then last but not least, for January 7th, it is I'm Not Gonna Take It Anymore. Now, this is traditionally a day where it has a bigger meaning behind it. It's more talking about people who are enslaved or people who are being pushed around, taken advantage of. And it's for you to like do something as far as a rebellion, or just to show that you're not going to take it anymore. You're going to take charge of your own life. But since that's not really huge in America anymore. We are not, nobody's in slavery, or at least the majority of people aren't in slavery. I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's not the big thing anymore. More like our own habits are keeping us down. So like I like the idea of transforming it into, so we can actually still do a little bit of it, of changing our habits. So on Monday we added new routines into our lives. We added new our New Year's resolutions. We added new things to our lives to better our lives. And today would be a day of removing things that are not good for us, like eating cake right before bed. Maybe, I don't know. I don't actually eat cake right before bed. Or maybe smoking. Maybe today's the day you're not going to take it anymore. This gives me a cough. I'm going to stop smoking. Or whatever it is. Maybe it's a person in your life that's bringing you down. I'm not going to take it anymore. You're constantly bringing me down. I'm going to distance myself. Whatever it is, today is the day of like cutting out that bad and bettering your life in that way. So it's a new take on it, just because that's how I think the modern world of people who are not like actually enslaved to the extreme of what the day was actually meant for, how they can kind of take it and do a little bit and it still benefit your life. I don't know. That's my take on it. Anyways, Harlem Globetrotters, thank you for NBA and old rocks and such. You guys have a wonderful day. I hope you guys are ready for the weekend. It's supposed to be gorgeous. Hopefully. You never know in Florida, but hopefully. And have a great Thursday, guys. Bye.